A world where some people get possessed by special abilities, and they can take control over the minds and bodies of other people. The anime begins with Otosaka falling to the ground, gaining the ability to possess and control other people's minds and emotions. He uses this power to cheat on a test by possessing the smartest student and copying their answers. With his newfound intelligence, Otosaka gets admitted to a prestigious high school. However, someone secretly records his actions. On his way home, a girl named Yumi approaches Otosaka and asks him out on a date. But he declines, claiming he doesn't have time due to studying. Otosaka decides to make Yumi fall in love with him and plans to save her life to win her affection. He uses his ability to possess others briefly and saves Yumi from an oncoming truck. Grateful, Yumi invites him to have a meal together. The next day, Otosaka is asked to retake the exam in a room alone, but he refuses. Tomori, the girl who recorded him, enters the room with the camera and informs him that she has permission to transfer him to their school. Otosaka and his younger sister move to the new academy, where they receive gifts from their uncle, including boxes of ramen. Tomori and Takajo come to help them settle in. The next day, Otosaka arrives at his new academy, where he was welcomed by Tomori and Takajo. Takajo invites Otosaka to join him for lunch at the cafeteria, but there was a long line of students waiting to buy food. Using his speed and teleportation ability, Takajo quickly grabbed 2 sandwiches and threw coins at the counter. However, in his haste, he ended up crashing into a wall and injured himself. Despite the mishap, they managed to get the sandwiches. Later, Tomori informed Otosaka about a suspicious guy they had encountered and asked him to possess the guy using his ability. Otosaka followed her instructions and possessed the guy, while Tomori discovered 2 hidden pictures in his bag. The guy revealed that he had bought the pictures from someone named Odo. Tomori teleported to Odo's location and warned him to stop selling pictures of females. Odo attacked Tomori with an arrow, but Takajo used his ability to save her. The following day, Otosaka and Tomori took her brother, who had been taken by scientists due to his special ability, out of the hospital for a while to enjoy the sea. They returned home, and later that night, Otosaka's little sister observed stars through a telescope before they went to sleep. The next morning at school, Takajo noticed that Otosaka looked tired. To cheer him up, Takajo promised to treat him during break time. Using his ability, Takajo got 2 beef tongue curries. However, they received a call from Tomori, who informed them about another person with special abilities. They went to investigate and found a guy hiding. When Tomori approached him, he struck her, but Otosaka used his power to stop him. They discovered that this guy was searching for Yusa to capture her on video for a TV channel. Tomori called an ambulance for him and sent him to the hospital. Shortly after, a red-haired boy approached them and asked about the search for Yusa. Tomori explained their intention to help her, so the boy took them to a club in the basement where they found Yusa. Yusa's friends were skeptical of Tomori and the boys. Yusa introduced herself, but when Tomori asked about her sister, Yusa got angry. Suddenly, Misa possessed Yusa and attacked them with fireballs. Eventually, she returned everything to normal. Misa revealed that she had a film producer's phone, and Tomori warned about the dangers of turning it on. They devised a plan to threaten the producer. Yusa's friends acquired fire-resistant suits, and when the producer arrived, Misa threatened him by throwing fireballs. Tomori suggested that Yusa join their academy for safety. The next day, Otosaka's little sister made food for him and put sweet pizza sauce on it, but Otosaka didn't like it much. Then Otosaka and Takajo were sitting in the classroom, and after some time, Yusa showed up there and introduced herself to her classmates. After that, all the students gathered around her and started asking different questions. But then Tomori comes and tells Yusa that she has to come to the student council room with her. After reaching there, a boy came there. His clothes were wet, and then he threw a drop on the map and said that there is a location of another person who got special abilities. Then they reached the place where the boy named Arifumi was practicing baseball. He got the ability to swing the ball just after he threw it, so Tomori told him to play baseball with her team next Sunday at 3 p.m., and if her team wins, he has to do as Tomori said to him. The boy agreed with it and accepted her challenge. And then the day came when the match was going to be held. Then the match starts and both teams are performing as well as they can, but in the end, Tomori's team wins the match, and then Arifumi agrees to get admitted to Tomori's academy. The next day, a group of girls come into Tomori's class, grab her hand and take her out to a lonely place, and then start beating her badly. Otosaka was watching her getting tortured by the other girls, but Tomori said that she was fine and got used to it. Then Tomori and Otosaka came back to the student council room and said that help is going to come here soon. And after 5 minutes, the boy came into the room and threw a drop of water on the map of the city and said that the next person has floating ability in the air. Then they all took some food from the store and bought some tents to stay in the forest among the mountains. Then they took a taxi and reached the forest and set up those tents. Next, they set up a barbecue grill and roast some corn on it. Then at night, they slept for 4 hours so they could get up early and find the boy who was flying in the air. Then the next morning, Tomori again roasted some corn, and then after some time, the boy showed up there. Tomori said that they were behind him, and on hearing this he jumped and started flying in the air, but Otosaka quickly possessed his ability and took control of the boy. After this he started coming down towards the ground, but somehow he didn't get too injured and luckily he was alive. Then Tomori told him not to use his powers in front of people or he will get captured by scientists, so the boy agreed to it. Then Otosaka goes back home, but his little sister was mad at him because he was out of home for 2 days. But then his little sister said that she made a very delicious dish for him as he's working hard for the student council. And luckily, she didn't use sweet pizza sauce this time because she had no more pizza sauce left. And when Otosaka eats it, he really appreciates that his sister made such delicious food. After that, his sister puts a blanket on as she gets cold, so Otosaka gives her some medicine, and then he goes to sleep. The next day in the student council room, the helper who detects the person who has special abilities comes and throws a drop of water on the map and tells them that the person has a special ability called collapse. Then Otosaka told him that his little sister has a fever and she is staying at home, and the location that was pointed out by the helper was the same as where Otosaka's sister was staying. Then Otosaka, Tomori, and Yusa go to see Ayumi, the little sister of Otosaka. But when Ayumi saw Yusa in her home, she became so happy and her nose started bleeding because Ayumi is also a fan of Yusa. Then Tomori cooks food for them. After eating the food, Yusa receives a call and left the house as she needed to go to work. Then Tomori washed the dishes, and after this, Otosaka gave medicine to Ayumi and told her to sleep, but she said that she was slightly scared of going to sleep. But then Tomori said that having nightmares during fever is a common thing. Then Tomori leaves the house and asks Otosaka to ask Ayumi about the nightmare she had earlier. After that, Otosaka comes into Ayumi's room and asks her about the dream. She said that she saw the ground breaking and splitting into pieces, but she said that she didn't remember it well, and after that she went to sleep. The next morning, Otosaka tells Tomori about this, and Tomori replies that the breaking and splitting of the ground sounds scary, so we have to keep an eye on Ayumi. Then they all go to the Ayumi school because Tomori has strong feelings that something bad is going to happen with Ayumi. In the school, a boy named Oikawa said to Ayumi that he wanted to celebrate and treat her as she recovered from a fever, but Ayumi said that she'll pass as she didn't want any treats. Then she runs away, but she sees another girl who was standing in her way with a cutter knife and says that it was her fault because Oikawa forgets about the girl and starts liking Ayumi. So she runs behind Ayumi to kill her with a cutter knife, but then Ayumi uses her ability and that part of the school building starts breaking and splitting into pieces. That girl ran away from that place, but Ayumi got stuck there and that part of the building collapsed and fell on her. Otosaka comes and starts throwing stones away because he was trying to save the life of his little sister. When Otosaka was trying to throw stones away, a pillar of the building fell on him, but luckily he was alive. As he woke up in the hospital, he got informed by the doctors that his little sister passed away. On hearing this, Otosaka got silent for a moment, and then he took a car and comes back to his apartment. And he placed a picture of Ayumi on a table and starts crying. Then for some days, he kept himself locked in the house and didn't go outside. Then a girl named Shirayanagi comes to his house and says that she wants to help Otosaka, and he lost his little sister. But Otosaka said that he didn't get any help from her. Shirayanagi was the girl who got saved by Otosaka earlier from a truck, so she wants to help him too. But when she resists too much, Otosaka gets angry and tells her to leave the house. As he made himself locked in the house, he was only eating the cup of noodles, but he finished all the stock of noodles, so he went out to buy some noodles. He took a train and went somewhere far from his house. After eating noodles and popsicles, he went to the arcade to play some games. The next day he came again to the arcade, but 3 boys were playing there, so Otosaka picked a fight with them. But due to his abilities, he defeats all of them easily. Then he comes back to his apartment, but then Tomori suddenly appears there and asks Otosaka to come with her. Then they went to Takajo's parents' house and Tomori made eggs and rice with sweet pizza sauce for Otosaka. When he eats that, he said that it tastes exactly the same as his little sister cooks for him. After this, Tomori told him to come back to the student council and he agreed to it. Then the next day, Otosaka comes to the school and Yusa welcomed him, but the other boys got jealous of him, but then Yusa said some magical spells on them to calm them down. Then in the break time, Takajo said that he is going to the cafeteria to have lunch with him. Then they eat food and head towards the student council room. Then Tomori played the song of Yusa on television, and after watching the song, Tomori said that she had tickets for the concert of Zend. So Takajo forced Otosaka to go with her. Then Otosaka goes out and finds a blind band member of Zend. Then this girl named Sala said that she wants to eat noodles and beer. After she eats the noodles, she asks Otosaka if something bad happened to him recently. He tells her that his little sister passed away a few days ago. Then she said that she wants to go somewhere, so Otosaka took her to the hospital where Tomori's brother was admitted there. She sings a song for him and a miracle happens. Tomori's brother starts recognizing people and also recognizes his little sister Tomori. After that, Tomori said thanks to Otosaka for making her big brother happy. Then the next day, Otosaka dressed up really nicely because he was going to the Zen concert with Tomori. On the way, Tomori said that she wanted a really good-looking phone case with Zen printed on the back of it. Then they entered the hall. Sala comes on the stage and she is the singer of the band. As she starts singing the song, Otosaka screams very loudly. Then the scene shifts and we see that Otosaka and his little sister Ayumi are in some type of boarding school, and the boy who always helps them to detect persons with special abilities comes and sits behind Otosaka and gives him a paper and tells him that they are going to test the abilities of his sister. Then after finishing the meal, the guards showed up there and took Ayumi with them. After some time, they announced that they are shutting down Block D because of Ayumi's ability. The half part of the building got destroyed. Then Otosaka goes out of his room and takes the power of his friend, and then he starts going through the walls. And finally, Otosaka reached his big brother's location. His brother said that he is going to change the world for everyone. Then Otosaka wakes up in the hospital and the helper comes there and tells them that they are going to rescue Ayumi. Then they reach the facility where Otosaka's big brother was living. Now the big brother of Otosaka starts explaining that he got the ability to travel in time and recreate things, so he uses his ability and gathers many boys and girls who got possessed by special abilities. Big brother Shunsuke gathers them in a basement and tells them that he will leap back in the past and build a school for these types of kids, so in this way they will save their abilities. But he failed many times. One of the disadvantages of this ability was that Shunsuke's eyesight got weakened every time he left time-lapsed. But he got successful at the last, and there he lost his sight completely and became blind. But then at night when he comes back home, he also fought some friends with him. They help him to erase the memory of Ayumi and Otosaka and leave the house so he can secure the lives of his brother and little sister Ayumi. Then Otosaka loses the ability of his brothers and travels in the past just before Ayumi uses her ability to collapse. Otosaka loses her ability and saves her. And then the helper shows up there and took Otosaka and Ayumi with him in the present time. Then his big brother tells him that now Otosaka is the most powerful among all of them because he has most of the abilities. So then Shunsuke showed him this research library they have made underground. There an old scientist was also working and he is in charge of the lab. He tells them that 400 years ago a stone fell in Europe and emitted some particles, and the people who smelled them turned into witches with some special powers. But they are making a vaccine to make them normal again and stop other young people from getting possessed with special abilities. After that, one of Otosaka's friends showed his ability to get through the walls, and Ayumi was amazed at seeing this. Then Otosaka goes to a room where all the other members who were in the lab are playing a game. But when it's Otosaka's turn, he loses all points in the first hand. His friend said that he really sucks at the game. The helper guy found someone again, so he said that he was going to the student council again. Takajo was driving, but instead of taking the helper guy to the student council, he said that he was going to take him to a different location. He told him that someone is threatening his family and he needs your help. Then he took him to Ishihara Mountain Industry, but they captured the helper guy and beat him badly. Then they called Big Brother of Otosaka and said that they want Otosaka as they already kidnapped Tomori. Then Takajo brings Otosaka to the place, but Otosaka gets angry that the whole building collapses and everyone dies there. But somehow the helper guy, Kumagami, put his life to death to save Tomori. Then Otosaka got admitted to the hospital, but other friends of his were angry with him because Otosaka, his big brother, lost his closest friend, Kumagami. Then all of Otosaka's friends visited him and took his favorite food with them to make him happy. Then he watched a Yusa show where she is eating traditional noodles. After that, Tomori came to Otosaka's room. Otosaka tells her that his brother has had all his life knocked out of him, and now he seems like a different person. Tomori said that you have to go back in time and loot every ability, so in this way he can save the life of Kumagami. Otosaka also confesses there that he loves Tomori, but she said that if he saves the life of other ability wielders, then they will become lovers. After that, his big brother allowed him to go back in time and loot abilities from others and save Japan. Then Otosaka packed up his bag to travel to the past. Before going to the past, Takajo and Misa, the elder sister of Yusa, who was in Yusa's body, told Otosaka to loot their abilities as well. So Otosaka lost their abilities as well, and he promised Tomori that he will come and see her again. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye.